5 weeks before my maternity leave, I was admitted to hospital.
Hey, this is Candice Leask, and Big Night with Tak and Matty is freaking awesome. So go check it out.
G'day. Welcome to Bin Night with Tak and Matty. I'm Takaya, and he is...
I'm Matthew.
Matthew Wilson, a.k.a. Matty.
Thanks for rejoining us. How many pods is this now?
6?
Well, anyway, we hope that you're enjoying it because we're having a ton of fun. And we're learning things about these people that we've spent, like I've spent a decade with some of these people, and I still have never heard them tell these stories before. So it's really, really good for us and eye-opening, and we hope it is for you too. If you are enjoying it, keep the comments coming in because that fuels our ego, which means we're going to come back for more. I have been listening to some episodes, watching some episodes.
Not all of them?
I watched one of them, and no, I'm saying like I haven't watched all of them. I've listened to all of them, but I haven't watched all of them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
And I just looked at some and I was like, holy shit, I look exhausted. Because a lot of the time we're, like right now, we're recording this at the end of the day.
It's 11:30 for me.
There you go. Yeah, we're recording late at night because we've both got things to do and the kids are asleep, which means that's our time. But yeah, I've looked absolutely cooked and thought, oh shit, I've got to be there for the people. I've got to be better. So that is my New Year's resolution to you. I am going to
look better.
Have a caffeinated drink after 10 p.m.
Does that help not look tired though? Or does that just make you act less tired?
Yeah, I'll only listen to those episodes.
So all of them, pretty much.
Yeah. Tak, we've got Candice on for this episode.
It's very different to the other episodes, which is really interesting in terms of what we talk about and how we talk about things. So you can look forward to that. But we've got to get an update, Matty, on your little fella and his love life. What's been going on with Penny?
Well, he already said before, he doesn't want to get married because as soon as he gets married, you're not allowed to have things that you like anymore. That's one thing that he's realised. He said, I don't want to get married, Daddy. Why? Because once you're married, you can't get Lego. Because I haven't said anything. That's just purely his own observation.
His observations of you and your lack of toys, apparently.
Yeah, the lack of toys. But they've stepped it up today. So Penny came up to me and says, mind you, Penny is a pseudo name just so that for privacy. But Penny is his girlfriend, his 5-year-old girlfriend.
Are they actually calling each other girlfriend and boyfriend now?
Yeah.
They made it official. Wow.
No, they do.
They
do. But they won't get married. That's where he draws the line. He's not getting married. He drops the L bomb all the time. They were making Play-Doh the other day. He goes, "Are you going to make a love heart for you and me?" I was like, "Oh my god, this is just melting my heart." Mind you, he's 4 years old. Like in our mind, he's only just learned how to talk, and he's sitting there. I don't know if he's having emotions about it. I don't know. But she pitched to me the other day. She came up to me, and this is Penny, and she came up. And she's like, "Matt, River has to stay the night. And you guys have to go home. You guys can't be here. You can't just wait around with Mum and Dad. He's going to stay the night, and we're going to have a movie night, and we're going to do some drawings, and you can't be here." I was like, okay, we can arrange that. So we'll see how that goes.
Wait, so was she saying that night or a night coming up is going to happen?
Oh, she was keen for that night, but we've got to organise it properly. She did have another friend of a similar age go and stay the night, and she freaked out halfway through her first ever sleepover. She freaked out and tried to leave the house to walk next door to where she lives, like her friend. But the door was locked and all the grown-ups were asleep, and she's like, this 5-year-old can't escape this house that she's terrified in, and it sounded like an awful experience. So anyway,
that's rough.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how we go, but it's cute. It's very cute.
Recently, last week, because taking care of Ari, it's hard to get to the gym, so I bought a rower, Maddie, because I was like,
hey,
I don't like running, and going on a bike. You got to ride a bike for a while to get a decent workout, but a rowing machine, you can do it 15, 20-minute workout and get a pretty
There you
decent workout, right? So that's
Is
been
it a concept too?
It is a concept too. And you know what I did?
Yes.
I was trying to get something secondhand to get it cheap. But they hold their value quite well. So the cheapest way for me to buy it, right? I utilized my forgotten credit card reward points because I had a decent amount in there. And then I went to, and so I was able to get Rebel gift cards from. How is this a tight ass? This is just being smart with your money, Matthew. I was able to get Rebel gift cards from
You
there.
stole plants out of a bin the other week.
You didn't
Now we're
steal
using
you can't
a-
steal something out of a bin. Someone's literally thrown it away. You're not. They no longer want it. How can you be stealing it?
You were
That's
rummaging through people's bins to get plants for your garden for the house that belongs to someone else.
Exactly. That sounds like a very smart thing to do. I'm not going and buying the plants for
You're right.
some other
You
person's
do you.
house. Anyway, and so bought most of it with the credit card points, and then because it was a Rebel thing, and Rebel's prices aren't always that great, they price matched. So then found the cheapest price. They price matched it and went and picked it up. Had a session with Ari. Was in the playpen next to me, and I was rowing. He was standing up, holding the little bars of the playpen, watching me. It was great.
How long do you stay on there?
Well, I've only had a chance to do one session, and because he took a little bit longer to eat, and then he had to have his milk, so I only got a 15-minute thing in there. But I was like, oh,
was it
good.
going solid? Was it turned up to level 10?
No, because you actually wanted it roughly 6, 7, because that's closest to real rowing.
Zone 2.
No, it's
really?
not about zone 2 stuff. It's just like 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. The whole.
You're too old to understand that.
I'm not too old. I understand it. But that's the closest to real outdoor rowing. Apparently, is that
Yeah, right.
level. That's what you're supposed to keep it at. Anyway,
Is it set up like in front of the TV so you can sit there and watch something while you're doing it?
it won't be. It will be in the garage, but I've got to move some stuff around for it to fit.
Oh yeah.
And then, but it actually does, because it's a newer one, has a device holder, which is quite clever. You can change the size of
Yeah.
it, so you can put like an iPad and set up, because they've got like indoor rowing apps and that kind of stuff. Or if you just want to watch Netflix or something, to
Oh yeah.
if you're going for a longer one.
Yeah.
it
See if
be
you can get on there for an hour. That'd be fun.
Yeah, the longest
Yeah.
because when I filmed The Gift That Gives, I had to cut some weight to look good because I had a big shirtless scene. So I was doing because I was staying at my brother's place in Queensland for Christmas, and the film shot in the start of January. And so he had like this Aldi rower, which is super annoying which shows the difference between something like a Concept 2, which is an industry standard kind of rower, versus an Aldi one, because the chain for the handle is quite short, so you couldn't do a full. You'd go donk and hit
that's
the
annoying.
end of the chain every pull, which was quite fun. But then where I was staying when I was shooting, they had a rower, so I was doing like 10, 15k rows, sort of like 30, 40 minute
Yeah.
rows, just because there was
There you
no other
go.
equipment at the thing anyway. Then I also got, because I brought up getting the vouchers for gifts, which you then said, I don't get gifts because I don't ask for anything. I used some of those
Still
vouchers,
stand by that. Yeah.
and I got a water carbonator. I didn't want to say a brand name.
Soda Stream.
Yeah, SodaStream. But I didn't actually get a SodaStream. I got a different brand.
Yep.
And it's
Bet it was
great.
cheaper.
It's making me drink so
It
much
was cheaper,
more water.
wasn't it?
No, it was more expensive. It's more expensive.
Ah, there you go.
But we have
That's-
that brand's water filter, and it's really nice. It's really good.
Mm.
And this brand also, you can get stainless steel bottles to make the sparkling water with.
I need to
So
figure
we're
out
trying to
this
avoid
brand
plastic
now.
as much as we can.
It's not Breville,
And,
is it?
Is it what?
No. Is it Breville?
No.
No. It's a,
I don't
they
think you'll
make
guess it
water
because it's kind of a
filters.
boutique brand.
Yeah, okay. Pure
Um,
filter. I just made that up.
There would be for sure something out there called Pure Filter. But you have a Soda Stream, right? Do you still
You've
use
got a
it?
bunch of them.
What do you mean you have a bunch of them? How many do you need?
We had an Airbnb once. No, we had our own, and we had an Airbnb, so we put one in the Airbnb, and then I did an ad for them once, so we got one from that, which is like this duo thing. That's pretty cool. So we've, yeah.
What does the duo do?
I don't know, man. No idea.
Why is it pretty cool if it does the same thing as the other ones?
I mean, it looks cool. You open the lid, and it goes...
You know, we're not too proud to admit we like to take care of ourselves. Maybe even a little luxury when it comes to our faces.
The old moneymaker.
We all know that's not your moneymaker, buddy.
Yeah, all right, enough from you. A huge hello and thank you to our brand partner and beauty partner, beautyboat.com.
If you're living in the UK, you can visit the website and order from a huge range of gorgeous skincare products to help reveal your natural radiance.
Sorry, Australia, this one is just for our friends in the United Kingdom. But if you are in Australia, you can still send a gift back to your friends and family in the UK through beautyboat.com.
If you're living in the UK, you can visit the website and order from a huge range of gorgeous skincare products to help reveal your natural radiance. Thank you to beautyboat.com for being not only our official beauty partner here at Midnight, but also for being there for all of your beauty needs.
All of them.
Candice Leask, who plays...
Who is she?
Wendy Rodwell on Neighbours, who you probably know from there, who brought a bright spark to set, and we all enjoyed seeing her and getting to know her muchly. And we were so chuffed when the show came back and Wendy Rodwell was given the opportunity to really shine on screen, and shine she did. This is a really interesting chat coming up. We talk about a lot of things, from parenting and being an on-set parent, from having a crazy birth stories and labor stories, to acting, what that means, and everything in between. So enjoy it. We certainly did, having the conversation with her. But here she is, Candice Leask.
Welcome to Bin Night with Tak Matty. Candice.
I'm very excited to be here.
We've all had to put children to sleep, so we're recording late at night. Not as late for Maddie; he's an hour behind us, so he's lucky. I
am parenting at the moment, and I've got one kid on a monitor here. I've got another monitor here.
But you do look very like, but you look almost like your look reminds me of Predator.
Yeah, great. I'll take that.
The alien, not...
No, the guy in the jungle who's like...
Speaking of, Candice, you're a new mum. How's it going? How far in are we now?
We are 17 months in.
I think it's better if you say it in weeks.
Really?
Because that really annoys people down at the playground. Oh my God, I love it. Sometimes I'll Google it and be like, how old is she? Oh, she's 79 weeks tomorrow, I think.
I feel like when people used to say 16 months or 17 months, I'm like, why don't you just say a year and a half? Or why don't you just say a year and 3 months? But I get it. We say it for us.
It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, we survived.
It's an accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment. That sounds so much more positive. Mine sounds like we survived, man.
It's a sacrifice.
Yeah. My youth. Look at my wrinkles.
So you took time off the show to have your baby?
The unexplained Wendy disappearance. Well, it was very loosely explained.
Everyone was so amazing because they had to deal with the rewrites that were... Well, Maddie, you would have got all the rewrites that were coming through every day of... I was getting written out of stuff, and then, yeah, you would have been stepping in like last minute with a scene that you hadn't even looked at.
I think because we both worked at the Waterhole, sometimes they needed a character that was in the same location to deliver the same lines. And I'm like, why the hell is Aaron saying this? Oh, these are Wendy's lines. So I had to become Wendy and have interactions with people that I do not care about. Well, the character doesn't. But that's the fun of it. It's kudos to the audience if you can spot those moments, because there's plenty of them.
Were you doing those things where you're like hiding behind fruit baskets or washing and that kind of stuff to hide the belly?
I was, and the first person who got that joy of putting me behind a box was Scott Major. And it was so cool because the box was empty, but like my stomach made an indent into it. So it made me look so svelte. I felt so good carrying it around. No bump.
It was like a circle cut out of it. Is it literally what was?
I was molding it. Oh, that looks terrible. Sorry for you guys. I was like pushing the box into my stomach.
For everyone listening, Candice is making a humping action, if you could imagine.
I was
Oh,
trying to
gosh.
curve it, and it felt so good because it was also supporting some of like that weight,
Yeah,
that new
taking the weight.
weight. I was holding it up. But funny story, I said to our producer, Andrew Thompson, you know what? I can work up until 39 weeks. And 40 weeks is full term. And
You are a company girl, Candice.
I just didn't want to miss out on being there. And then I had to go to hospital 5 weeks before my maternity leave started.
Oh, whoa. Wait, so was your maternity leave actually week 39? Or did they go, no, that's really crazy. We're not doing that because that's absurd. Why would you think you could do that?
Exactly what Thompson said. He was like, oh, Candice, I don't know if you'll want to work at 39 weeks.
That's sweet of you, Candice, but that's crazy.
5 weeks before my maternity leave, I was admitted to hospital. And I remember I was talking to him every day on the phone, and I remember saying to him, because it was a genuine concern, I'm like, please tell Jason not to kill me off.
I don't, if they had killed you off, I don't think that like passes the HR thing, like, and just before anyone says anything out there that like some people do work to 39 weeks. Yes, they do, but they're in a work environment that can accept that they're pregnant and that's worked around. In an environment where she's got to pretend that she's not pregnant, it's kind of not the same thing. So at 39 weeks, that's and also I think he was probably saying it for production size, like, oh man, we can't keep getting bigger boxes, Candice. It's going to look really strange.
I remember doing scenes with Lloyd, and
Sergeant Rodwell.
I felt so off because, oh, sorry, and my husband, Wendy Rodwell's husband, and he was so great, but I just felt so sick and I didn't want to go home. I just didn't want to go home, but the hospital wouldn't let me go back to work.
What was the cause for anyone out there who might end up having the same symptoms?
Basically, my placenta started to poison me.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah, and my blood pressure went up to 200 over 100.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was at that stage, I admitted defeat, and I was like, I shouldn't be at work. I'm cool.
Oh, preeclampsia.
I'm cool to be here.
Preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I had. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I had to stay in the hospital an extra 2 weeks.
Because we all had different birth experiences, right? Ours was, Jess was very close to giving the baby by the time we got in there. And I remember walking down this hallway where there's women laboring everywhere. And it was like, I don't know, maybe it was like 11 p.m. at night. And it felt like I was walking down the hallway of The Shining, the hotel in The Shining, but there was people in the room screaming. And there's like, oh my God, I'm scarred. And there's people going, ah, like high pitch going, ah, really high. And there's people going, ooh, ooh, ooh. I was like, oh, are any of these rooms free? And we got to ours, and sure enough, Jess started joining the clan. She made some serious noises.
Well, we'd had such a long process because we went through IVF, and that in and of itself is like quite a realistically like torturous thing to go through, because rather than just 12 times a year the female is finding out that their period comes or not, you're aware of so many stages of the process, and each stage of that process is being judged with a qualitative measure, that it's you have so many points of not failure but let down, which is tough to deal with. And when you're going through multiple rounds of it, multiple collections, and then getting to the point of transfers, and then you're seeing what the transfers work and stuff, it's really, really intense. So then by the time Amy had a cesarean, and that I am happy to promote that as a great idea for every woman out there, because she went into the room. She goes in first to get the spinal tap. For some reason, the male's not allowed to be in there. I think it's just because it's, they don't want anything to go wrong when they're putting something in someone's spine. And then I went in, and then he was born like 14 minutes later. Or me and him were outside the room, and she was getting stitched up, and I was holding him, and that was pretty special. And so kind of like Matty said, by the same token, I was just there to try and help Amy in whatever way she needs and take photos as much as I could, and then ultimately just be the in-between from when he came out of Amy and was put on her chest, to then taking him into recovery, waiting for her to come out, which was actually really sweet, because it did give me my own little alone time, because we took him out into the recovery area. The nurse weighed him, and then I just got to sit with him for 10, 15, I can't even really remember how long it was, because I'm just staring at this little baby staring back at me. But that gave me this alone time with him when he first arrived, which is quite a special moment, and probably quite unique to that experience as well, because I imagine in a natural birth that the baby would go to the mum, and assuming that there was nothing crazy going on, that the mum's generally going to hold on to the baby a lot, and if the dad gets a chance, it'll be kind of in a collaborative kind of thing, as opposed to, and also just being I was kind of left alone. So it was really just me and him. Like, we were in like a ward sort of situations. There's nurses walking back around and that kind of thing. But I was the only one focusing on him, really, and he was the only one focusing on me. And so it was just this pure moment of connection, which was really special. And I didn't know that was going to happen either. You don't really get explained the step-by-step of it. So,
right? Like, all three of us, we've got these perfect little people, but our journeys were just they're not the same.
absolutely.
And yet we love them in this unexplained way that you feel like that tingly feeling, it's just so bizarre that we can create life. Don't you ever just think about that? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I remember at the
No.
start saying to people that, like, now I can't really understand unconditional love, because I think romantic love, there are certain conditions that are in place. If that partner does something, then or whatever, that those conditions can be broken. But I'm like, with him, if he kills someone, I'm figuring out where I'm getting a boat, and we're getting we're getting to some country where he can't get extracted, or whatever that word is.
I think you meant to keep that stuff
extradited
to
from,
yourself,
and
mate. Candice, you were involved in a series recently called Till You Make It, which I've seen Scotty Major is involved with. I'm on the subscription list. I get all these emails about it. Now you guys are up for awards and everything. This is amazing. What's it about?
So basically, it's about a couple who wanted to be actors, and then they have to overcome all these obstacles, and it goes over I don't want to spoil it in case anyone wants to watch it, but over 4 episodes, it showcases 4 different scenarios that they're in, and they they see ex-boyfriend, and they see people that they've liked, and it's really funny. That's why I got nominated for one of the best best online comedy series. Had to get that out. And to be
At
honest,
the
any
ACTRA Awards,
opportunity,
which is
the ACTRA Award.
yeah. What's that acronym for?
Australian
Matt?
Academy of Cinema and Television Awards, I believe.
Thanks, Tak. My brain freezes up when people ask me questions. It's so terrible. But
This is a
yeah,
great environment for you then, Candice.
I know. I decided to be an actor and be like, okay, now what?
Well, it's because you wanted someone to give you what you had to say as opposed to ask you to say things.
It's very true. You know what? I always wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't want to do the work. So I thought being an actor. No joke. That would be like, used to watch Ally McBeal, and I was like, I want to do that. So I'll just go into acting and pretend to be one. Sorry, I
was kind of the
off that.
same. I was like, I wanted to be a pilot, but like Air Force.
Yeah.
So Top Gun, and then lawyer, the same, but that was like the practice, or a doctor, which is like ER, Chicago Hope, and
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, acting, I get to do all of them, I think. So without thinking about, somebody else has to give me that option to do it.
Yeah.
I'm
Now
going to be
you
the doctor in
audition.
this show now, even though I was the doctor in Neighbours.
God, you were a doctor.
I was a doctor. Although it was
What?
kind of before you turned up, really, I think.
Yeah, but didn't something happen? I remember something happened.
Yeah, I let someone die.
That's right. Death.
Mm.
Death happened.
That's right.
Death
Death.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
on your watch. Sorry, I interrupted your question, Matt. I went on a tangent.
I just saw how you did that thing. You said on your watch, and you pointed to your watch, but it's obviously a different watch. And I remember chatting to you on set, and you were trying to remember your lines one day, and you're like, I just have to climb my way to the top. And while you're acting, you have to do the hand signals to try and remember the lines, lock them in.
Annie Jones taught me that. She was always like,
she does do that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's helping me. It was one of those days when nothing sinks in. Did you guys have days like that? Tell me you did, so I feel better.
No, I knew every line
every day.
all the time. Never
Every day.
lost one.
Brains over here never misses a beat.
No, I drop lines.
After 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah. I remember one scene that I was super proud of. I was with you, Maddie, and we were in the Waterhole, and it was like 5:00. We were doing, and we had to wrap by I think it was like 5:15 or 5:20. And there was so much dialogue and banter between us. Didn't know my lines, and I was running it with you. And it was probably one of the scenes that I was so proud of, because you were always looking at your lines just before you did it, I felt, and you were just like, you just got it.
You would be correct there, Candice. You would be definitely correct there.
Don't say anything.
But to be with someone who's like that, it makes you feel like, okay, I've got it too. And you just
It's
convince yourself, so you don't let the other
learn
person.
way faster when you're doing the lines with someone, even faster when you're doing it with the person who plays the character, even faster when you're doing it with the person in the environment you're going to do it, because then you've got more touch points to remember things.
That's right.
I'm like quite physical in a lot of things, and so the physicality of stuff makes a big difference. When I'm learning lines at home, like standing up and walking around and that kind of thing makes a big difference. If I can imagine what I'm going to be doing and then trying to attach those things, it makes it way easier. It's often said, line learning is often seen as like a almost academic thing to do. Like you sit down and you learn your lines. But in reality, when you're playing the lines, sometimes you're sitting down, but that's, appropriate. But often, it's quite an active thing. So I try to bring in some activity when I'm trying to learn lines as much as I can.
Oh, yeah. It just gets so monotonous when you're just sitting there, right?
I
And you're
know.
not. Yeah. And
you feel like a crazy
I fall
person.
asleep. If I'm trying to learn lines, I get so tired if I'm just sitting there trying to do it.
Really?
Fall asleep, yeah.
I find my
Wow.
problem is that, like, I'm a creature of habit, right? Especially coming from a carpentry background, like you do one thing and you do it 1,000 times over. And so I'm in the mindset of like that's a habitual thing, right? And so if I practice and practice and practice a scene, like the dialogue, in my mind, that's the way it's going to go. And as soon as you get onto set, if the other player doesn't do what you imagine, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm stuck in this rut. How can I switch over and follow the lead? But in my mind, if I put the dialogue last and put the story first, I understand what the story is. I understand where you're coming from, where you're going, what everything means to you. The words just sort of fine. They just sit there. They're just there.
Yeah.
And
It
then
makes so much more sense, right? Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And then all of a sudden you can be more fluid and you can react to the person across from you. And look, you've got more spare time.
How old were you watching Ally McBeal that you were like, I want to do that? That was my little you voice, if you liked it.
Wow, I sound so boyish. It was when I was in grade 4 and I had to get up and do a show and tell about Captain Cook. And I remember like thinking, you have to engage the audience, so I have to use my body. And like I was like Captain Cook, although that looks like what's that move?
The sprinkler.
Oh, the sprinkler, yeah. But that was me as Captain Cook and seeing Australia, who I thought was a good person at the time, but that's very controversial, so I won't say anything about him. Anyway, yeah, and then I ended up just doing theatre and stuff and music, and yeah, and I ended up getting my first role on Sea Patrol. I skipped a few years, a few decades.
So you were what, 8 or 10 or something in year 4, and then you got on Sea Patrol. You were Captain Cook, and then you were on a ship in Sea Patrol. Were you Captain
Oh
Cook
my-
on Sea Patrol?
Yeah, did you see the correlation? I was that mermaid at the front. They strap onto them.
Just stay still.
Fully
We need
clothed.
someone to stay still. We can't afford the
Um,
statue.
But funnily enough, I really wanted to be. I trained for theatre, so I just wanted to do theatre until I got like what Matt said before you did the presenting course. I had immense anxiety one day when doing Shakespeare that my palms, like you wouldn't think your palms can sweat until they sweat, right? And my palms would sweat, and I'm like, I'm not going to remember my lines. And I remember on the final night, I'm like, I'm not doing this again, ever.
Didn't you do a play last year?
Yes. So, no, I went into TV. I went into TV and film. And, because if you stuff it up, you can just do it again. But you still have that mental anguish. And then, yeah, last year it had been 13 years and I decided to do theatre again. And I freaking love it. Like,
So
highly
good.
recommend. Yeah, thanks. Like,
Were you nervous
and
to jump back into it?
I was really nervous, but the nerves were so good that they made me feel alive again, like when you act all the time and it becomes familiar, it became something new again. And it was just so good getting live feedback and everything. It made me want to do it every day. Like I really want to do theatre again. So
What for you as an actor? What's the thing that you love most about acting, or what drives you? What thing in you drives you to be an actor? What are you craving? Is it the applause? Is it the feeling of moving people? Is it purely just the attention, and you've got a massive ego who needs to be fed all the time? Is it
That
what?
one.
What is it for you?
oh my gosh, this is going to sound so sad.
Yes,
Gather
that's what we want.
round,
This
friends.
is the soundbite.
Pretending, like having that moment where you can detach from stuff that your mind tells you it doesn't like about you, or struggles you have, and gripping onto something in a character and just pretending that that stuff doesn't matter.
How was it for you, Candice, when you got the call to say that you'd booked the job?
It was my 5th audition for Thea, and I remember
For different projects or different characters on Neighbours?
different characters. They were all bit parts. So one, I went out on a date with, I went out on a date with David, but that wrong character. He was trying to shake things up. I think I went out on a date with Toadie. That was my character. And there were little bits. I never got anything. And then I got Wendy Rodwell, and I was reading it, and I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like I'm not going to get this. And I remember I did it the night before the audition was due. I did it. You know, sometimes you can overdo it. I did it like 4 times, and I'm like, it's cool. It's cool. I've accepted that I'm just doing
I'm
this.
not going to get this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just doing it for myself now. But full respect to Thea, like, I'm so, like, she got me in 5 times, so she obviously had faith in me. And I didn't hear for 2 weeks, and this was during COVID lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I was walking home from Mooney Ponds, and very specific again, Matt, and I got the email to say, congratulations, you've booked the job.
Off the one audition.
Yeah.
Wow.
No chemistry test or
Wow.
anything because of lockdowns and everything.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I remember I looked at it and I was like, huh. And I was like, no way, no way. And I got home and I asked my partner at the time, I said, can you please read this for me? Something had happened. Maybe you guys can explain it to me, but it just didn't feel like I couldn't hear it or something. I couldn't feel
You're
it.
protecting yourself. You didn't want to get excited and then realize that, oh no, it just says congrats on getting another audition, another callback or something. That's what I'd be doing.
It's also a surreal experience because it's like before you've had any major roles, you kind of imagine what that must be like. But I don't think we ever contemplate the time between getting the role and then doing the thing. We kind of just imagine doing the thing. So when you get the email to say you've got it, your brain's like, what? This isn't what I imagined. I imagine now I'm doing it, but now I've just got to like, what do I do now? I don't. What is the process of the in between moment? Has my whole life changed? How's my life changed? What am I going to be doing? And you would have had one of the most chaotic starts of anyone on Neighbours because COVID, because then the show then gets cancelled like a couple of months later kind of thing. So you have this weird lead up like, yay, I'm a new regular character. Oh my God, now the show's ending. Was it me?
I didn't think that, but now I am.
Well, I mean, both times the show was cancelled, you were on it. So I mean,
and they say this time is progressive. No, it's so funny because that's so right. Like you get so overwhelmed with shit. Now I actually have to act. Oh, sorry, I swore.
no, you can swear.
But I remember when I first went in and it was like 6:15 a.m. met Lloyd Wills, who plays Andrew Rodwell, and we looked at each other and we held hands for a quick intimacy, meet and greet. This is your husband for the day.
Now hold his hands.
Yeah, we had to hug. I remember we hugged. Within 5 minutes of it was probably 4 minutes of meeting him. And I said to him, I was like in this zone of like, okay, I've now entered the building. Now it's time to infiltrate. And I remember saying to him, I really, really want to be on this show. I'm like, let's really pretend we're married. And he's like, yes, okay. And which is the point kind of
Was
acting
that
is
you? Was he like? He was then like, oh, so you want to act? Because I was planning on pretending like we were really married.
That's the gig, right?
I just didn't want to make things weird.
I don't know if you want to route about that the right way there, Candice, or
We are married now. Do it.
I'm really gonna pretend like we're married.
Oh my god! Now I sound in my memory I have a weird voice. Let's do it. Are you prepared to fully do it? No, because we
It's
were
like
like,
a-
I was like, I'm in a long-term relationship, and he's like, I'm in a long-term relationship. It was like quickly setting these boundaries, and I was like, okay, let's just throw ourselves all in, and we did, and then they wrote us parts.
Wendy is a character full of idiosyncrasies. Did Wendy have those idiosyncrasies, or as you got your first scripts, you kind of discovered that this character needed them and to make it feel like it worked for you? Like, were they always there?
I think at the beginning, I remember it was in the storyline with Levi.
Ned, Levi, and Amy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always say real names. Anyway, Wendy comes in and has heard stuff about their throuple, and she has this sort of like stutter where she's like, "Oh, you're the throuple. Oh, that's cool. Like, no judgment, no judgment. Like that sort of vibe." And I remember Scott came up to me and he said, "It was the way you said it."
I remember telling an ex-girlfriend's parents when because you always get that classic question in Australia. It's like, oh, have you done Home and Away or Neighbours? And then once ironically, this is a tangent, but when you book Neighbours or Home and Away, they go, oh yeah, I've heard that's a good stepping stone. You want to do bigger stuff after that? And it's like, oh wait, so this was the standard, was to do Home and Away or Neighbours. And then once you get that standard, oh no, the standard's up here. You're just doing the stepping stone. That's just like people get their start there, I guess. But no, I remember talking to this ex-girlfriend's parents, and they was like, oh, have you done Home and Away or Neighbours kind of thing? And I said to them, like, honestly, when you watch those shows, I'm not on them. You don't see me. So I grew up, I liked Home and Away and Neighbours, watching them growing up as a kid, was that we'd watch both and The Simpsons in between or whatever. And but as I became an actor and stuff, it was like, well, I can't see me there. And so it was never in my brain that was going to be a real possibility. So when I booked it, and it was great that it was me and Tim both starting, that was, two faces of Asian Australians coming on the show. And that was significant, it held some weight. And so when you coming in as well, it continued that, and it started to create what is a real sense of what Australian streets are, where it is mixed cultures in that way. And I remember thanking the producer at the time, Nat Lynch, on like our orientation for me and Tim, our first day. I said, thank you for making two characters that are Australian with Japanese backgrounds. That being Japanese or having Japanese heritage wasn't the character. We didn't have to have accents. It wasn't like it was being explained away in some weird way as to why we could possibly be Asian, of Asian heritage, even though, our whole storyline was about who was our dad. But the fact that our Asianness was never really character defining. There were elements of it that they put in the set, and like, I'd take a bento box to grandma and that kind of stuff. But it was never like on so many other auditions that have where the whole role was based around the race of the character. And that, I think, for me as a kid growing up, was something that I needed to see, because you would only ever see those representations, which were these Asian, in quotation mark, characters. They weren't really Australian. They were others. And when Leo and David started for us, they were Australian characters with a background, and that just kind of made them more interesting.
Tak, when I saw you and Tim, I remember I turned to my mum and said, I'm going to be their cousin. I am going to submit and I'm going to be their cousin. I didn't, but I just knew. And that's like hands down the truth. When I saw you guys, I was like, I'm going to be on Neighbours. I swear to God. But when I got there, you both had different hair, so I couldn't recognize you.
I love that you saw us in TV Week, like, I'm going to be their cousin, then didn't watch the show. You brought such a lovely burst of energy to the set. And everyone noticed, not in a bad way.
You're like, what's she on?
Give me some. No, but it was so refreshing to have this big laugh come in, and just lift a room in the way that only you can, Candice. So especially even that first time round, part of my sadness was also that, man, we didn't really get to play.
Yeah, remember we had that conversation. Yeah, I was really sad as well. Yeah.
You know, so I was so happy for you when you all came back for the second time round. I was like, oh, good, they get to really have their chance now. And you so did. Like, there's such big storylines. Obviously, the cheating stuff towards the end was like the main push towards the final stuff of the show, which was massive. And I remember getting told about it and being like, what? But you guys made it so believable in everything you did. So, and that's a huge credit to you and, you know, everyone else involved in that storyline as well.
I remember the building used to be filled with only a small amount of nice people, right? The rest were egos, like Takaya and everyone else, just massive egos. Everyone. No, I remember there was like, I used to always think there was Ben Hall and there was Tim Carno. And I used to imagine that they're out eating dinner together and there's one chip left on the plate. Who's going to take it? Not one of them is going to take it. They're so nice. No, you have it. No, you have it. No, you have it. No, you have it. And then you entered the building. I'm like, whoa, no one's eating anything anymore. The nicest person in the entire building. And look, I'm a morning person and I get that. Sometimes I annoy a lot of people. I walk into that makeup room at 5:45 or whatever it is, and everyone rolls their eyes. Oh, here comes Matt, the little golden retriever puppy, going to bounce around the room and make lots of noise. And then you get people on your level about 9 a.m. Tak was like 10 a.m., 10:30, a little later. But
that wasn't negative though. I just didn't. I just couldn't.
No.
Couldn't.
Physiologically,
bounce.
you couldn't move. Yeah.
It was something like that. But no. But what I mean is that it wasn't like I was then angry or negative or upset. It was just I couldn't return serve. I couldn't offer the energy back in that way unless it was on set and I had to do it for the character. Otherwise, my realness was like, oh, it's early in the morning.
You'd
man.
only slept 2 hours. Yeah.
No, you guys had like, was always so consistent in a, I once said that to Scott Major. I'm like, you're so consistent when I go to set. It's really nice. And he's like, oh, I don't want to be consistent. Like, that's boring. I'm like, no, consistency is good when you're working with someone. You at least know that you're going to get someone that you're like, cool, I know that we're going to have a good time working together.
There's safety in it.
Yeah, there's safety in it. And like any relationship, like, and you guys were always an energy that I knew that, okay, it's going to be a good day, you know? And that's nice to play with people who it's like, you guys are happy. And even if you're not, you're selling it.
Let's pretend.
Let's pretend we're all really happy.
Candice, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor, and I know that we're going to work again. Look forward to it.
We're going to work again, and I really hope that we get a chance to all work together again.
And please shout out if you come up this way as well, Sunny Coast, or you duck back to Brisbane. Are you in Brisbane now? Or you're in Melbourne?
No, in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne now. But Gold Coast is where I'll go. But Queensland, if I'm ever in Queensland, I'll hit you up.
So Takaya just farted just before we recorded, and I really wish we got it on there. I'm only saying it so that it's still on the record.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But even if I did, Matthew, we're not in the same room. What does it matter?
Well, good luck to you. Anyway, whether that stays or not, who knows? It's up to Tom. Let's see how nice you've been to Tom lately. Candice, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute gem of life. She, as you would have picked up, and as we said many times at the end there, she's just the bubbliest person in the room. She always makes your day better. You weren't there when she was pregnant, were you?
No.
No. Like I really wish you were, because she had, like, you know, some people have a really easy pregnancy. Some people have, well, I think that's impossible, but an easier one than others. Some people have a really difficult pregnancy. Even between our kids, like the level of morning sickness you get.
Husbands have a much easier pregnancy, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for whoever gave us that. A willy
penis.
Yes, yeah. So and like even with our kids, like the pregnancies have all been like so different. She got the worst. She got hit with everything that could possibly happen, and she still rocked up to work every single day. And she would be completely open. Oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And then she'd just say, like she did in this interview, she'd be like, "But how are you?" And I'm like, "How are you still? Why are you here, Candice? Go home and rest."
Apologise for herself. Yeah.
Apologise, yeah. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. She's just, she's so selfless, and
has a zest for life, really. You know.
She does, yeah. And I miss her. I miss her dearly.
You know, she's thinking about, you know, she's pregnant and she's this baby, and then she's got, and he unfortunately was having some issues and whatnot, came early, and she's worried about whether they might kill Wendy off. But it's not to lie. And people would say, "Oh, why are you thinking about that?" It's all because you know, your life doesn't end when you have a child, and a big part of her life is her love for acting, and I think that any parent's going to be the best parent when they're able to be the best version of themselves as well. And for her, acting is a huge part of that. And so to lose Wendy, and also the security and safety that Neighbours can provide, especially once you've had a child, that would be a really stressful thing to add on top of an already stressful situation. So I can totally understand that. But also, you know, she wanted to be on set. She wanted to be a part of it, and to keep telling the stories that Wendy had to tell.
Yeah. It was funny reading all the comments when she obviously had to have a bit of time off work, and you'd read some people like criticising the storyline for not doing this, or how Wendy was away for so long and it doesn't make sense because of this and this. And you're just like, if only you knew. If only you knew the wars that she was going through at the time. You'd eat your words, but anyway, I love her.
Well, I'm
She's
sure that's
great.
going to be a bit that's shared amongst the Neighbours fandom to explain the going away. Because I think it's like she keeps her private life pretty private, and I don't think a huge amount of people are aware that she had a baby whilst on the show, and that's what the reason for leaving was. So I think people will be quite surprised to learn that. And then probably commendable for her performances around that, for that not being obvious, I feel. So, yeah. Do we have an update, Matty, on your chicken count? Has it gone down?
The chicken count? My chickens.
Are the snakes getting bigger around you, or what's going on?
So, not last night, the night before, I came home, had the kids out at the beach for sunset. We came home. And I went to check that they were in the coop, and luckily I did, because there was a big snake. Well, not a big one; it was only like a metre long. There was a snake a python on the lawn. So I said, "Come on, kids! Come on, kids!" So all the kids got to hang around this thing, and that was pretty fun. But it was obviously going for the chickens. Later on, I'm putting our baby to sleep, and I just had this weird feeling, and I was like, "There's something going on with the chickens right now." So I picked her up. She's in one arm. I walk outside, shine the torch, and sure enough, there's a python trying to find its way into this somewhat predator-proof, but yet untested for me, chicken coop. So I'm like, oh God, I wonder if it's going to go in or not. I filmed it, and it finds a way in, and it starts to sneak its way in. So I'm like, oh shit, I got to go run down with the baby in my hand. There's mosquitoes everywhere. And all I could do was just grab it. So I've grabbed it and straight away it's just wrapped its arms and its tail all around my hand.
Its arms and tail.
Not its arms, its legs, its tail, its arms. It had 8 legs. I think it was a snake. But no, it wrapped its tail all the way around me. Like it was like a constrictor kind of a move or something. Anyway, we saved the chickens, right? We got the chickens. The python didn't get in. I managed to get it out and did a head count in the morning.
The baby got covered in mosquitoes and heaps of bites, but you got the snake out.
We did get this our chicken coop, right? Just to save a bit of work, I got this coop that like it senses the light and it automatically opens when there's a certain amount of light, and it automatically closes when the chickens would theoretically be in the coop. And then this, like it's hot up here right now, right? Really humid and hot. And Jess goes, "Have you seen the chickens today?" I'm like, "No, not at all." She goes and checks. The door's malfunctioned. The python probably knocked something off, pulled on a cable or whatever, and the chickens have been locked in this little hot box, this coop all day. So that's my next update. We'll see how we go.
Are they alive still?
They're alive. They smell great though.
So basically, these chickens have been born. You got them like alive, right? They weren't in eggs or anything. They've been born. They've been hatched into this world. They've been shipped in some sort of cardboard box of some kind. They've been brought into this owlet thingy, Bobby, contraption that is their, what do you call it? Roost.
Omelette. It's an omelette. OMLET. Yeah.
And then they've had their brother or sister eaten in front of their eyes, right in front of them.
Speculative.
Horrible thing to happen to someone. And then
Speculative.
Well, allegedly. Well, it's either that or it's wandered off into the rainforest. Now it's alone and you didn't go look for it. So is it alone and you just didn't bother looking for it, or is it eaten by a snake? One or the other, but they're both bad situations. Anyway, and then so they've had this horrific thing happen in front of them. They've watched their sibling be eaten alive, most likely. Maybe ran off, but most likely it's eaten alive. And then a predator, a big snake, is trying to get into their house. Fortunately, didn't get in, but they're terrified again. And then they're locked in a hot box all day. I thought you liked animals, Matty.
Have you ever read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me?
I have, yes. Oh, so you're David Gogginsing these chickens. I don't know if it works when it's involuntary. It's got to be a voluntary process. Most resilient chickens, most unfortunate chickens, most likely for now. I mean, they might not last too much longer. Bloody hell!
Thanks for listening to my chicken update.
Anyway, lucky for you, I hear someone ruffling around in my bins. Oh God, not again! Who's that
guy? It's a
guy?
clone of yourself.
The peeping Tom is not a clone of me. Thank you very much. Don't know what a clone is.
Wow.
And just for everyone at home, he was worried about the shadows on his face because he wanted to look good. So I told him to turn his hat around. He turned his hat around. Then we didn't have shadows on his face. Now he's turned up in this, and his hat's back around the front way. Obviously because he went, I don't look like I want to look with my hat backwards. Come on, peeping Tom.
It looked weird backwards, guys, and you insist that I come on bloody screen, so I've got to try and look at least half decent at this hour.
Everyone insists you come on screen, peeping Tom. Everyone.
Oh my God, that sentence, Jesus.
Matt, your mind
Wow.
needs to get out of the gutter. You have young children. You shouldn't be thinking about
How do you
Tom
think they were
coming
made?
online.
I don't have time to respond to these complaints about the treatment of your chickens, all right? I've got too much going on, so...
We
do better.
And everyone should know at home that Tom's back in Australia, so Matt and I are not having to guess what he's saying because he's... We actually do get full sentences out of him, which is quite helpful.
Which always helps, doesn't it? Okay, right. I have a dilemma for you guys. This is from... Who's it from? From James. Okay. So, hi, Tak and Matty. Love
Hi,
the
J-Dog.
pod. Hi, Jada. Especially the mix of Neighbours content and parenting and family experiences. As parents of little ones, I'd love to know how you and your partners make decisions about the kids. With different opinions and different backgrounds, how do you decide whose opinion is right? I'm asking this as my husband and I are expecting a little boy soon. One of us is British and one is Australian. So growing up, there were some differences in parenting between the two countries, including medical choices. As an uncircumcised Brit and a circumcised Aussie living in Australia, we have a decision to make, and we have different opinions. Do we circumcise or do we not? How do you recommend we make the decision together? I mean, good luck with this one, James. Over to you.
James, I am flat out going to refuse to comment on your future child's penis. That's it. I'm tapping out. Tak, take it away, Doctor.
Look, there's Dr. David Tanaka here. This is a controversial one. Because people have very strong opinions about this. I think, from my perspective, the why of the circumcision matters. Is it a religious thing, or is it I want his penis to look like my penis? Which, when you say that out loud, feels like a weird. No. Honestly, we spoke to our OB, and he said that was one of the reasons that people wanted it, because they wanted them to look like them, which, when you really think about it, it's kind of a weird thing to want.
I had to go through it, so do you. That kind of thing.
Well, yeah. Also, some would say, well, I know what to do with a circumcised penis and how to keep it clean and whatnot. I don't really... If he's got questions about what do I do with this extra bit of skin, I don't know how to answer that. Fortunately for your son... he's got one of both to ask, so doesn't have that problem. And if it comes to the idea of cleanliness and that kind of thing, our OB actually advised that, well, it's not a hard thing to teach to be clean. So the advantages of the cleanliness argument isn't really all that real. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not going to tell you what to do with this, because I don't want your son to be told at some point that I was the person who decided whether he was circumcised or not.
This is going to define your career, this comment. There you have it. Wow.
I mean, that's the one that these kind of questions are why I'm here, Matthew. Hey, look, we've been put in a position to answer a dilemma, and you copped out and said, I'm not answering. So one of us has to be willing to take up the mantle. And
oh gosh, is there another one, Tom? Can we swipe left or right to these ones?
I think that's enough for one day, that you, Matt. To be honest. How do you and Jess deal with those situations when you disagree on parenting? It's not necessarily what the topic is, right? It's when you disagree. How do you come to a conclusion?
We've been struggling with this for the last 5 years, but it has been a process of we're slowly converging. We're slowly starting to like come up with the same ideas, or make
that's not really helpful for James.
Really
it's like, just figure out a way to think the same.
Just wait 5 years. Wait 5 years.
And you'll slowly start to have the same ideas. Look, you can.
No, I think different ideas are good, right? Different ideas are great. That's why we've got democracies. If it was one person making all the decisions, or if you were both had the same opinion, then you wouldn't necessarily get the best outcome or the best result. So,
I've got a good idea. I've got a friend who's in a friend group that I'm not a part of. But what they do is they have PowerPoint nights. So what, James, you should do is have a PowerPoint night party, and everyone at the party has to present a PowerPoint on a topic of their choosing. Now, for you and your partner, you have to present the pro and the cons of each situation, and the party decides whether your future child will have a circumcision or not. There you go. That's one way of settling it. I think that's a great way to solve all of your relationship issues.
Tak, I think it's your turn to give us a terrible dad joke about bins.
It is, and look, this is one I actually made up myself. So, get ready, lock and load. Why does the trash never worry about finding a date?
Go on.
Because it knows it'll always get picked up on bin night. See you next bin night. Come on, Tom, you liked my joke, didn't you?